Motion 101. Motion is described in terms of displacement, distance, velocity, acceleration, time, and speed. For example, there is no absolute rest as all bodies in the universe are in perpetual state of motion. Stars, planets, constellations, and even galaxies are in motion. Planets revolve around stars and galaxies move away from each other. When we think of speed, we think of cars, jet planes, anything that moves quickly. To scientists, however, speed means things moving fast or slow. Speed is defined as the distance an object travels in a certain amount of time. Fast cars travel at a higher speed than slow cars, so they can go further in the same time. Newton's first law states that an object will remain at rest or in uniform motion in a straight line unless acted upon by an external force. Newton's second law is the acceleration of an object as produced by a net force is directly proportional to the magnitude of the force in the same direction. Newton's third law is all forces in the universe occur in equal but oppositely directed pairs. There are no isolated forces. For every external force that acts upon an object, there is a force equal in magnitude but opposite the direction. Motion is a simple concept to understand but can become a surprisingly complicated thing to calculate. Motion is the measurement of movement in a direction. Determining movement and direction requires knowledge of several forces including mass, friction, velocity, and distance. To measure motion, an object must have movement. Often, the amount of time taken to get from one point to the other is also included to calculate the speed of motion. Scalars and vectors are terms used by scientists to explain motion. Scalars are quantities that are fully described by a magnitude alone. Vectors are quantities that are fully described by both magnitude and direction. The average speed of an object is defined as the distance traveled divided by the time elapsed. Velocity is a vector quantity, and average velocity can be defined as displacement divided by the time. The units for velocity can be applied from the definition to meters, seconds, or in general, any distance over time. It's important to know how to calculate average velocity. Say you drove down the highway from Lillooet, BC to Counts, BC. That's approximately 180 kilometers. You drove that distance in 2.5 hours. You would then take the formula and put the information in, as seen on screen. Acceleration is the name we give to any process where the velocity changes. So a jet moving with a constant velocity at 800 miles per hour along a straight line has zero acceleration, even though the jet is moving really fast since the velocity isn't changing. It's also important to be able to calculate acceleration. Say you're driving down the highway and your change in velocity is 140 kilometers in 1.5 hours. That would mean your average velocity is 93 kilometers in. I do not own any of these pictures or information. I got the pictures off of Powtoon itself.
Created using Powtoon.